Call of Duty Black Ops has the best campaign of any Call of Duty ever. I know it's a bold statement, but I also know that many who watch this video will agree with me. Now, many other Call of Duty games have had very great and memorable missions. All Gillied Up from 2007's Modern Warfare and Cliffhanger from Modern Warfare 2 come to mind. These missions and many other missions from every other Call of Duty stand out as great or even spectacular. But I'm here to make a case for why I think Black Ops' campaign, the entire thing as a whole, is the best cohesive story that Call of Duty has ever told. I want to start by saying that this isn't a review. There are so many reviews for this game already. I mean, the game came out in 2010. I will, however, be ranking this game in a tier list at the end of this video. I want to make an analysis video on the other Call of Duty titles and rank them in a tier list to see how they compare to one another. Of course, seeing that Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is a mere couple months away, I thought it'd be fitting to start with the Black Ops trilogy first. And yes, I said trilogy because Black Ops 4 didn't have a campaign, so suck up. Obviously, I've already stated that I believe Black Ops' campaign to be the single best in the franchise, so it can be assumed that it will receive a high grade from me. But before we get there, allow me to show you why I think this campaign is the single best. I'm going to start by breaking down everything that happens in the campaign mission by mission. So allow me to take a moment and give out a firm spoiler warning. If you haven't played this campaign already, I mean, it's been out for 10 years, my friend. There is your warning. You wake up in a room covered in wires and darkness. A strange, deep voice constantly speaks to you, asking lots of questions.
You said it was Cuba. What happened in Cuba?
Many televisions sit to your right, flashing different images and video clips, and a primary television sits in front of you with the main menu options for the game. This is the Call of Duty Black Ops menu screen. This menu is unique from any other Call of Duty up to this point. However, if you move your mouse or your thumbstick, you'll find that it gets even more unique. You can actually look around your environment. Everything you see makes more sense as you play through the campaign, but for a first-time player, this is an incredible spectacle, but can actually seem quite scary too. If you look down, you can see that your hands are firmly strapped to the chair you sit in, and if you were to spam your trigger buttons or the spacebar on PC, your character will get up from his chair and move freely. This is amazing. As you walk around the room, you can get a better idea of what might be going on. This looks like an interrogation room. In the back of the room, right behind where you were sitting, there is a computer that you can interact with. There are many different commands you can input into this computer that do various things, including play a text-based game called Zork. This game was actually exported to the Pawn Takes Pawn site that showed the Black Ops Cold War teaser a few weeks back. Everything you've been shown so far sets the tone for the campaign as a whole. The game is so true to itself and its themes. Select Campaign, New Game, and choose a difficulty. The game starts. You're now about to witness a frightening, chilling, and disturbing story of a man named Alex Mason.
Wake up. Wake up.
Where am I? Where's Reznov?
Our character wakes from a bright white light, confused, breathing heavily, asking where Reznov is. This is interesting because Reznov was an important character featured in Treyarch's previous installment of the COD franchise, World at War. By the way, World at War and Black Ops are both basically horror games. It even says horror on IMDb as a genre. And if our protagonist's voice sounds familiar, that's because he's voiced by Sam Worthington. Yes, the guy from Avatar, people. He's been in more than just that, you know. Like, Terminator? And, Black Ops? The strange man from the menu is telling our protagonist to wake up and answer his questions. We soon see that if our protagonist does not answer the questions asked, he will be electrocuted. The interrogator tells him that his name is Alex Mason, born in Alaska. He worked for a CIA assassination team called Operation 40. This is enough to confuse Mason. How does he know all this? Numbers flash on the television to our right. Strange whispers can be heard in the darkness. The interrogator, whom I'll be referring to as the mystery man for the rest of the video, asks about the numbers. Mason seems confused. The mystery man then asks about a man called Dragovich, a man Mason seems to know for some reason but doesn't quite know why. This campaign is very different because every single mission except for one is either a flashback, memory, or a story someone else is telling or has been told, or at least features one of those three. In film, this would be considered a very lazy, awful screenplay. However, because it is being told through a video game, it works perfectly. And that's why I believe that a story like this could only be told through a video game, because we're not hearing someone on screen tell us what happened, or they're not showing us what happened on that dark and stormy night. We get to play as the person that the flashback or memory or story is being seen through. And so, even though it is a flashback or memory or story, we ourselves get to experience it instead of being told it or shown it. The first mission immediately introduces us to Frank Woods and Joseph Bowman, voiced by James C. Burns and Ice Cube respectively. Now let's stop right there and talk about the cast for this game right quick. It is incredible. James C. Burns, Ice Cube, Ed Harris, Sam Worthington, Gary Oldman. They got Gary Oldman! And can I just say that I think this is the best performance Sam Worthington has ever given? Maybe that's sad, but I don't care. His performance as our lead almost makes the game. He's so good in this role. We start with Woods getting information. This makes sense. They're CIA trying to gain intel. Woods does not like the way that they're treating that dancing lady, and when one man approaches, he gives him a little surprise.
Be cool, Woods. Wait. Talking to you!
This is great character development. It shows us that Woods doesn't put up with much. Fighting through the streets of Cuba, the team needs to escape. This is Call of Duty action at its finest. We've seen it before, but the era and setting makes it feel unique. The action is visually stunning, even 10 years after release. They get in a car and drive away, smashing through walls and fences.
Let it go!
The screen fades white. We're back in the interrogation room. This happens throughout the campaign, but it's necessary. It shows how Mason is divided between reality and memory, how his brain can't tell the difference between fiction and non-fiction, past and present. The mission continues with amazing moments like ziplining and assassinating. The goal of the mission being to assassinate Fidel Castro. And when it finally comes time to enter the room Castro is in and kill him, we enter this awesome slow motion sequence. We enter bullet time and watch the bullet enter Castro's face. During the daring escape, the team finds that the airways have been blocked. And in a heroic sacrifice, Mason leaps from the plane that they're on and makes his way to a turret where he clears the way for his friends to escape. Mason, of course, expects to die here, but is taken captive instead. Mason wakes to find Castro still alive. He had a double take his place. Next to him is Dragovich, the man we saw earlier in the interrogation room. Dragovich says,
"I have plans for you, American."
That line is etched into my brain for the rest of my life. It's so good. And this scene, too. Castro on the left, Dragovich on the right, standing in front of Rusalka. This is one of the most famous and memorable visuals in COD campaign history. Now our real story begins. Vorkuta. This mission is very important in Call of Duty. Not only is it one of the best missions in any COD game ever, it was the inspiration for the Origins Easter egg steps. The entire mission is brutal prisoner versus guard warfare. Sergei shoves a pickaxe up through this guy. Mason eventually wields a minigun and mows down everything in his way. This part of the mission is probably my favorite. Now you get to escape on motorcycles. And this isn't like the first mission where the car you were riding was on a track and you couldn't really control it. You have full control over this motorcycle and it's awesome. You escape on the train. Reznov sacrifices himself so you can escape.
Step 8, Reznov! Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me! Reznov!
This next mission is definitely the weakest in the campaign because the entire mission is on rails. You never get to move your character, only look around. However, this mission is vital to the story. It shows what's happening inside Mason's head, what he thinks, sees, hears. He meets with President John F. Kennedy, who wants Mason to kill Dragovich. We see small twitches in Mason's mind. At one point in time, Mason imagines raising a gun to Kennedy's head. This is all very important storytelling stuff that we don't quite understand yet. So while this mission could be considered boring or useless to some, it is very important and has important story beats. Executive Order is another mission in the catalog of memorable Black Ops missions. We're introduced to Weaver, who loses his eye in an awful, gruesome, disturbing, painful way. It's also worth noting that the previous mission obviously inspired the Zombies map 5, but this map is a clear inspiration for Ascension in DLC 1 for Black Ops. The Call of Duty franchise has had some very good stealth missions and sequences. This mission goes to show that pretty much all stealth missions Treyarch make are brutal and gory. The objective of this mission is to rescue Weaver and stop the Soyuz launch. You get to ride more zip lines, assassinate with a crossbow. You also get to use explosive tip arrows for the crossbow if you so desire, and I desire very much, thank you. The control panels are destroyed, so you have to use a Valkyrie missile to take down the rocket in glorious explosive fashion. You escape through the tunnels in an attempt to find and kill Dragovich, but Mason does not succeed. His friends believe that Dragovich is dead, but Mason believes him to still be alive. Back in the interrogation room, the mystery man explains that all they want is the numbers.
We want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted.
This mission doesn't really have anything meaningful for the story other than to explain why the team stayed behind in Khe-Sanh instead of going to Hue City and bringing Bowman back into the picture. However, it's a really cool set piece. Vietnam is dry and barren, but the color palette is somehow beautiful. The mission is chaos and destruction and earned its place in the game simply for being fun. This next mission is again an awesome, fun mission that does give something to the story. A defector with intel on the Soviets' involvement in Vietnam needs to be taken so Mason and his team can extract that intel. In this mission, we are introduced to a Spaz 12 shotgun that shoots incendiary rounds. This thing is a blast to use, no pun intended. Again, the setting is so cool, making your way through an office building with a dragon's breath shotgun. Mason breaches a door but is brought to the ground and almost killed.
Mason. Reznov.
Reznov was believed to be dead after the escape of Vorkuta, but somehow is now in Hue City. During the first playthrough of this game, this sequence is fascinating because it never seems untrue. When Mason is speaking to Reznov, nobody ever questions it. It makes it feel like Reznov is actually here and tricks the player so well that when you find out Reznov is actually dead, it really knocks you back. It's great storytelling at its best. Reznov says,
Dragovich, Dreshenko, Stein, all must die.
This sentence is said so many times throughout the campaign and is what Reznov was telling Mason when he was being brainwashed by Dragovich and Steiner. It's also the reason that Reznov is in Mason's head. It is later understood that Reznov was the defector and the mystery man agrees to it. This of course is because the mystery man knows Reznov isn't real and only wants to gain trust from Mason to also gain intel. But we as the player don't know this yet, and once again sets in stone that Reznov is in fact real to new players' eyes. However, it is worth noting that almost every single time Reznov is seen on screen, the numbers can be faintly heard. This makes sense in the long run after you know the story, but the first-time players is a hint that Reznov isn't actually real, because when the numbers were being planted in Mason's mind, Reznov was telling him to kill Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. This mission is our introduction to Nova 6. For the first time, we get to play as someone other than Mason. It's Hudson in Kowloon City trying to gain intel from a man named Clark, one of the creators of Nova 6. This scene here is brutal.
Think about what you have to lose.
Not only the mission that we as the players are playing, but the actual mission that Hudson and Weaver are on is an important one. Because Clark knows everything that there is to know about Nova 6. He knows what the broadcast numbers mean. In the end, we know that Weaver and Hudson are the mystery men in the booth of the interrogation room. But this mission hints at that reveal too. Weaver and Hudson are looking for the meaning of the broadcast numbers. Clark knows the reason, so it makes sense that they'd go after Clark. And now after Mason, who has been basically injected with the numbers. And also, can I just say that this mission is beautiful? It's raining and it's gloomy, but on the rooftop, seeing the planes flying so close overhead and the water on the ground and the rain itself, this mission is genuinely gorgeous. God, I hope Treyarch remastered this campaign like Infinity Ward did with Modern Warfare 2. And of course, in classic Hollywood movie fashion, before they can get the answer they're looking for, Clark is killed. This mission is from the point of view of Reznov. It's a story he told Mason when they were in Vorkuta. This is one of the most important missions in the game because it shows how dangerous Nova 6 is. It explains Reznov's hatred for Dragovich and Kravchenko and Steiner. It is a dark mission and is one of the reasons this game could be considered in the horror genre. The Soviets attempt to break into this old frozen ship they believe to be carrying Nova 6. Remember, Clark is the one who learned how to stabilize it, however, it was created more than 20 years prior, and the Russians attempt to get their hands on it. It's a great mission that gives honor to that of World at War. You get to use the PPSH. It's running on a new, updated engine. World at War fans love this mission, guaranteed. And here we get to see what Nova 6 really does.
He should have died in Berlin.
This scene was awful for us 12-year-olds back watching this in 2010, but it's necessary to show how scary Nova 6 can be and sets up how high the stakes really are. Here again we have an amazing mission with brutal assassinations and awesome gameplay with very important story beats. But seriously, these assassinations are brutal. Like, I can't even show this one. Can't show this one either. The mission is primarily another extraction mission based in Vietnam, but where the important story beats take place is when Mason and Swift go into the rat hole. Reznov hops down to seemingly help Mason, and Mason has a short conversation with him.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
On first viewing, this is maybe thought to be because Mason didn't have the light on Swift like he asked him to. However, we later understand it was because Mason was really talking to himself. And this sequence right here.
Mason, what the fuck happened? We're seeing fire from the tunnel. Where the hell are you? We'll maintain a holding pattern so we have eyes on.
I have slight claustrophobia, and this here made my heart race and my breathing get really heavy. The mystery man tells Mason that Reznov cannot be trusted, that he isn't who Mason thinks Reznov really is.
Listen to me carefully, Mason. Reznov cannot be trusted.
Of course, this is because Reznov is actually Mason. Everything that Reznov did after Vorkuta was actually Mason. The Defector, the dossier on Clark, all of it. But also remember, we don't know this yet. So Reznov is manipulating Mason. That's the story the writers want us to think. And back in 2010, that's exactly what we thought. This is also where the Mystery Man informs Mason that the numbers are a broadcast, and that he's been brainwashed. This is amazing gameplay too. Driving the boat down the river, shooting other boats and trucks on the roads and towers. The controls are something to be desired, but the level design and dialogue are so well done that it overshadows the slightly poor controls. Another thing with not just this level, but with this game in general, is the sound design. The guns sound alright, but the speech and the explosions and how they overlap each other is magnificent. Once the team gets on the crashed plane, the numbers start again. They open the crate to find the Russians have American weapons. Bowman mentions a map with Kravchenko's compound on it. We hear Reznov say in the background,
Kravchenko. He must die.
Okay, Mason.
Again, this is because Reznov isn't really here and Mason is brainwashed to kill the main three, Drogovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. The plane is attacked and falls from the cliff it's on.
Face yourself, Mason!
Mason, Woods, and Bowman are captured by Dragovich. The beginning of this mission starts out quite cool. You're a pilot flying a spy plane to assist a ground team in navigating around enemies. The intro cutscene is awesome, however, once we're in the sky it becomes a little bit boring. This is the only part of the entire campaign that feels a little too slow in my opinion. There are points where you switch to Hudson on the ground and fight people in buildings, and it's fun. However, you do eventually go back up and continue guiding. The great news is that it doesn't last long. I think the plane sequence is necessary for us to understand how it works, when we're on the ground being guided by an anonymous voice in the sky. After a few short minutes, we're back on the ground as Hudson for the rest of the mission, and it's awesome. It feels a little like Cliffhanger from Modern Warfare 2, but in Treyarch's very unique style. The beginning of the ground part of the mission is a stealth type mission. You get to use a crossbow again and zip down cliffs and smash through windows to shoot people in glorious slow motion. All around, the mission is just a really fun one to play. The snow setting is also stunning, even for a game from 2010. Our previous snowy mission was Project Nova, where we played as Reznov. That mission was during a blizzard on a rusted warship in the middle of a frozen lake with a horror undertone. This mission has proper scenery and is awesome to look at. The intro animation of this mission contains very important information. The Mystery Man talks about Dragovich using number sequences to basically hypnotize people and create sleeper agents. This is precisely what has happened to Mason. Dragovich has brainwashed Mason. His intention was to have Mason kill the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. The Mystery Man says the numbers being broadcast to the sleeper agents come from one location. The reason Mason is here is because the Mystery Man believes that Mason, being one of the sleeper agents, may know where the numbers are being broadcast from. And now begins another one of the most infamous scenes in Call of Duty history. The Viet Cong and Russians drag out the captives one by one and force them to play Russian roulette. The first is Bowman and Mason, and when Bowman refuses to comply and calls the Russian naughty things,
"You don't scare me. Communist piece of shit." Bowman! Bowman!
Woods is dragged out and Mason becomes scared after seeing what had just happened to Bowman. He can't let it happen to Woods too. The first shot is terrifying because neither Mason nor Woods can see if there is a bullet in the chamber. Woods says what is probably one of the most famous lines in COD ever.
"You can't kill me!"
Woods grabs the gun, points it to its head, and pulls the trigger. But now Woods can see that the next shot will be fatal. He tells Mason and they prepare to shoot their way out. In glorious slow motion, Mason shoots the man beside him as Woods goes for the men at his 6 and 8 o'clock. Mason shoots the final two and the Russian runs. Woods and Mason make their way after him. This scene is so well written but also well directed. The tension is so tight it could snap. After seeing Bowman die, the player realizes that Woods could very well die now too. And with Woods being such a well-rounded and written character, the fear is instilled that he very well might die here. Now, not only is Mason breathing heavily, but the player is too. In classic Call of Duty fashion, Mason and Woods chase the Russians, shooting everything in their way. They catch him and kill him.
You got him! For Bowman! For Bowman!
You now have to fly a helicopter, shooting vehicles and encampments on the ground, and other helicopters in the sky. This gameplay feels far better than the boat from the mission crash site. There really is no fear of hitting the ground because the helicopter will automatically elevate above anything that you might hit. You only need to worry about not hitting the sides of the cliffs and shooting down the helicopters. Eventually, Mason hears and sees Reznov, and again the numbers begin in Mason's head.
Shevchenko is here.
Like I've said many times before at this point, this is because Reznov isn't real. Mason is caught off guard by Kravchenko and almost killed, but Woods fights him and sacrifices himself to save Mason.
I should have killed you in Vorkuta. Got you now, you son of a bitch.
You will die with me.
What?
Of course, by the time Black Ops 2 rolled around, we discover that Woods never actually died, but in 2010, when we only had this part of the picture, men cried. Reznov appears to help Mason, and again we hear the line,
Dragovich, Kravchenko, Stein, all must die.
The mystery man attempts to help Mason to understand that Reznov isn't really here. He tells Mason that Bowman and Woods died, and that he was the only one who survived. Mason defends Reznov, saying he survived too, but the mystery man shuts him down. The mystery man also asks why he killed Steiner. The CIA wanted Steiner alive, but Mason killed him. Mason says the numbers told him to do it.
Steiner, they all had to die.
We wanted Steiner alive! Why did you have to kill him?
Because the numbers were telling me to! Why don't you fucking understand?
In this mission, Mason and Reznov invade the island where Steiner is located. In brutal, stealthy fashion again, Mason and Reznov make their way into the facility. And hey, this place looks familiar. Mason and Reznov find Steiner, and he remembers who Mason is. Over the radio, Hudson can be heard trying to stop Mason. Reznov gives his powerful speech and shoots Steiner.
My name is Victor Reznov. Go, and I will have my revenge!
All the while, men in yellow hazmat suits can be seen in the background trying to break into the room Mason and Reznov are in. Note this because this is a very important factor. This mission is also very cool because it is broken into two different perspectives that we've played as before, in the same area at the same time. The point of view switches to Hudson, and we play out an awesome sequence where the island is flooded with Nova 6, and Hudson's team must wear hazmat suits to protect themselves. You must use a gun with a thermal sight on it to see through the gas. The sequence again is so well designed. Hudson makes his way into the 5 facility and can see all the wreckage Mason and Reznov have left behind. Hudson's team finds Mason and attempts to break through the glass to stop him. Reznov's speech can be heard, but Mason is saying it.
My name is Victor Reznov, and I will have my revenge!
Mason says the line that dropped us all back in 2010. Revelations is the final zombies map released during the Black Ops 3 DLC season. Oh, wait, shoot, no, wrong script. Revelations is the second to last mission in Black Ops. Its purpose is to finally catch you, the player, up to speed on anything that hasn't quite been answered yet, and finally drive home the fact that Reznov dies in Vorkuta and has been a figment of Mason's imagination. It is full of trippy imagery and sound design and dialogue. The mystery men are Weaver and Hudson. Reznov is dead. Mason's been brainwashed. The origin of the numbers, the broadcast location, all of it revealed. We see Dragovich and Steiner brainwashing Mason to kill Kennedy, Reznov brainwashing Mason to kill Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. The mission itself is a huge exposition dump, but it's so well done and necessary that it works. The reason they need to get to the broadcast station is not just to kill them all, but to stop a global attack of sleeper agents programmed by Dragovich and Steiner. It's the reason Hudson and Weaver are so desperate to find it and get it, to basically stop World War III. This mission is different from the rest of the game thus far because it is the only mission that isn't based on memories or flashbacks or stories. Mason finally has broken free of the numbers and knows where the broadcast station is. Hudson and Mason and their teams are on their way to stop Dragovich. The mission starts with another helicopter sequence and it's fun, but honestly I just want to get on the ship. Luckily the game knows when its non-linear game modes are overstaying their welcome and when to end them. Eventually we're on the ship and we get to shred through many people trying to find our way to Dragovich. They discover that the broadcast is coming from a huge structure at the bottom of the ocean, thus the reason the CIA could never find it. They finally find Dragovich and Mason begins to kill him. Here, the single most important interaction of the entire game happens.
I can make him kill my own president! Right?
Hudson and Mason ascend from darkness much like he did in Vorkuta. Weaver greets Mason.
Mason! It is over. We won.
For now.
The screen fades to numbers and we hear the famous sequence of ascension codes.
19, 20, 10.
A small animation shows John F. Kennedy in a crowd, and Mason behind him. The reasons why I think this is the best campaign are various, and I want to share them now. First off, this isn't just an action war story. This is a horror and a thriller, and above all, it's science fiction. And I think that's the reason this campaign shines. The futuristic games like Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 2 and 3 are science fiction too, I know. But this one is special because of the timepiece it's set in. It's the same kind of science fiction that The Matrix is, and it's so grounded in reality. And especially the final shot, with Mason standing next to John F. Kennedy. It makes you think. Other COD campaigns are mindless fun, and that's fine. We all need a little mindless fun now and again, but if a story can make you think, actually make you think about what you just watched or heard, or in this instance played, it sits higher than any other stories told. And this is a COD campaign. A man in the 1960s is brainwashed into killing his own president. The CIA must capture him, torture him, beat him, anything they can do to get him to remember who brainwashed him and where they brainwashed him, or the entire world may be overrun by brainwashed lunatics. All the other COD campaigns are bad man does bad things and we need to stop him. I will say that Dragovich as a villain is not very fleshed out at all. He falls into that category of bad man does bad things and we need to stop him, but remember that really this game is about getting inside Alex Mason's head. The game also takes clear inspiration from The Matrix and the story of the Winter Soldier. The numbers and the dark tone of reality versus fiction is very much inspired by The Matrix. And the way Mason is brainwashed and the reason for brainwashing him is so inspired by the story of the Winter Soldier. The way reality feels so filthy and dirty, the slow motion fight scenes, it feels so inspired rather than other games that feel so uninspired. The game can face a lot of cliches, and cliches can be a good thing if they're executed well and utilized properly. In this story, I find that the cliches work, and part of the reason as to why they work, again, comes down to the acting. It helps having an all-star cast that has experience in acting, and all of them crushed with voice acting too. I also like how the game never really cheats its own story or rules. From the beginning, it is foreshadowed that Viktor Reznov is not real. The writers and directors tell you that from the start by making you hear numbers every time you see Reznov, or hear one of the names Dragovich, Kravchenko, or Steiner. They throw subtle hints at you of what's really going on, and it adds replay value, much like watching a movie with a twist ending like The Sixth Sense. Once you know how it ends and the twist, you want to watch it again and see if you can pick up on the clues. Black Ops does this wonderfully. Back in 2010, before I started playing the multiplayer or zombies modes, I played the campaign, and it absolutely blew me away. I finished it the day I bought it and immediately started it again. I love zombies. Zombies is my absolute favorite thing that Treyarch Call of Duties have to offer. And I played the campaign again before I ever even touched the zombies mode. I had to fully comprehend what I had just witnessed. And the final words from Dragovich, which brings me to the open-endedness of the game. I absolutely love how there is no conclusive answer to if Mason actually killed the president. In the final animation, you can hear Mason speaking over the numbers and the cutscene. He says things like 11/22, Texas, 6.5mm. These would refer to November the 11th, the day that JFK was shot. Texas, the location he was shot. And 6.5mm, the caliber he was shot with. Of course, he's seen in the crowd with JFK. So, did he do it? I'm not going to answer that for you today because, quite honestly, I don't know the answer, but I also prefer that it would stay open-ended. It makes it feel more like a real-life conspiracy. Everything about this game, the writing, the direction, the acting, the level design, the music, holy, the music! Modern Warfare 2's score will always remain the best, but it's an unfair comparison because that was composed by Hans Zimmer. Next to it, however, Black Ops is my absolute favorite score that any of the Call of Duties have to offer. And Pentagon will go down in history as one of the best Call of Duty soundtracks ever. Like, just listen to this. I love how the score has an underlying horror tone to it as well. Black Ops, in my opinion, is the best campaign that Call of Duty has ever made. The writing, the direction, the acting elevated above all other COD campaigns, and the story is elevated above a lot of modern films and TV too. And on my tier list, I am going to give it an S. You may not agree with this, and that's okay. I may have missed some points, and that's alright too. Black Ops is a complex web of conspiracy. It'd be impossible to cover everything that it has to offer. So I plan on bringing out an analysis of Black Ops 2. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I plan on having all 3 Black Ops analysis videos out before the release of Black Ops Cold War. So subscribe or whatever so you'll know when it comes out, or I don't know how to end. Bye.